by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health. Every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health. It's heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Hey, I hope your weekend was fine for you. I know it was fine for me. Humid, sticky, hot outside. Inside, hey, nice and it's cool in here. I hope it's cool wherever you are. Things will heat up around here. We're going to hope you can help provide some of that heat because, we'll give you the opportunity at least to try. That number is 412-825-6262. You can call up at any time. We're going to be talking about, how about this as a title? Are you a diabetic? Or how about this one? Are you going to become one? And we're going to be talking about that within the context of, are you going to become one? And maybe how you can be tipped off that this little disorder, this very drastic and terrible disorder, may be looming right around the corner for you. And you don't even know it. So we're going to spend today talking about diabetes in a way, I've never heard it presented before, but, geez, that's what I think I do best, presenting things that you've never heard before. So, will you be a diabetic? Hey, maybe after today's show, you'll be looking at this a little different than you do ordinarily. So once again, a number up to call in if it's on point with the diabetes issue, or off point, because we allow you to do that too. 412-825-6262, and we'll get at that topic that at least I'm going to raise right after the first break. A couple of bookkeeping items. Well, we want to, we've closed the book, I hope now, on the issue of vitamin C. I didn't hear rumblings out there the first time this was introduced, talking about the non-corn derived component of vitamin C. Oh, there was such controversy. I got a lot of phone calls talking about other doctors in our area that were highly upset with me. I don't know, maybe they're all on the same page. I'd really like to know that, and I appreciate the fact that it is, because I don't think you can come up against science and speak it to death, so to speak, because what you're saying is completely inaccurate. So you now have the straight and accurate information on the issue of corn-derived versus non-corn-derived. We discussed, and hopefully you're fairly comfortable with the issue of water-soluble versus fat-soluble vitamin C, and how by utilizing one or the other in the way that you do utilize the vitamin C, you're able to get the maximum amount of the of that particular antioxidant into your system. And of course, we rounded out our discussion talking about the unique property of vitamin C with respect to its antiviral capability, because it is antimicrobial with respect to viruses, and it is an excellent antimicrobial. It is also an excellent cytotoxic, and those unfortunate individuals with cancer, it is a known entity, a known item in the circles that I travel, that vitamin C IV is to be used in the cancer setting, because it actually kills cancer cells. If you don't believe me, would you believe your federal government? Because as did one of our callers called up on Friday, I hadn't mentioned it, but he sure did, saying, "Hey, did you hear about the research done at NIH that actually proved that vitamin C can kill cancers?" And I was happy to hear his phone call, because absolutely I'm aware of the article out of a 2005 publication, which was the work of Dr. Mark Levine, in which he did just that. I still say If you'd like to have a copy of that article, I'd be more than happy to send it to you. How about sending me a self-addressed stamped envelope? Or how about calling up and giving us a fax number, and we'll fax you a copy of that article. I think it's a must-read for everybody, especially those who are confronting cancer issues either for themselves or for some members of the family, looking for an alternative approach. Certainly, chemotherapy is, boy, that's a tough road to go down, especially knowing that it is only a palliative treatment versus a curative treatment. And if you don't know the difference of those two words, that's the place to start when it comes to evaluating the programs that are being presented to you. Okay, also I think we have put to bed the issue of sugar substitutes, the fructose content of everything, and of course how it has to be taken into context, because the highest content of any how can I phrase it? The substance with the highest fructose content. Fructose is a negative, by the way. Fructose should be kept below 25 grams a day, and if so, you're fine. It's when you exceed that there's a problem. But the product with the highest amount of fructose in percentage, which is well over 70%, is an apple. And nobody is saying don't eat apples. All right. Let's talk about some guests that are up and coming. Hey, on Wednesday, you're going to love it because he's back. And he's difficult he's elusive, I guess a better way to say it. Very elusive fella, tough to get him pinned down. His publicist finally called up here. We could never seem to contact him. You know him very well. He is the king of oregano. His name is Dr. Cassinger. He's going to be with us on Wednesday. Got a topic in mind. I think it's catchy. He so is well in doing is coming up with catchy topics. The title, How to Survive a Toxic Summer. And with all that's happened in the Gulf, that is a real appropriate title for this summer. Anyway, Dr. Cassinger will be our guest on Wednesday. You don't want to miss it. I keep mentioning, and with plenty of time, well, everybody, by the time August 25th rolls around, and Dr. James Roberts is with us, because he is going to be here on the 25th. There'll be plenty of people in anticipation of his arrival. Who knows what our topic will get to. You might want to call up and ask some questions. I'll write them down, and I'll make certain that he does answer them, and I'm sure he's not going to shun and shy away from answering anything. His book, in collaboration with another famous cardiologist, Dr. Stephen Sinatra, sits on my desk, prominently displayed and understood by all. Many of you own that book called Reversing Heart Disease Now, and in it literally is a blueprint for how you're supposed to do that, understanding that cardiovascular disease is still, and looks like it's going to remain, top on the list. It's the #1 leading cause of death. How do you change the course of events? And you need to know that you absolutely can change the course of events. You can't cure cardiovascular disease. No one's saying that you can, but if you don't take steps to ensure that these events that are going to befall you aren't delayed, aren't protracted, aren't ablated, aren't backed up, that date of departure from this good earth is sooner than it absolutely has to be. And that, of course, is what we do here. Give us a call. Come on in to see us. We'll talk about those cardiovascular issues, and we'll put into play the entire compendium of what reversing heart disease now is all about. We'll talk a bit about that when we have Jimmy Roberts with us all the way up into almost the end of October. I look at it, I smile every time I see it. 25th of August, my children will be going back to school real soon by that point. No fair if you're smiling too. No fair. I caught you. All right, let's do this. Take a short break. When we come back, we're going to get into a topic that's pretty meaty, but with a different twist. I think you really deserve to approach it from this different twist. I say, are you a diabetic? Well, geez, if you already know, that's fine, and I hope you're taking the proper steps to keep this under control. But are you going, or will you become one? Hey, that one is a little different way of looking at this. I think I could shed some light on this that maybe has never seen the light of day before. We'll do that when we return. Be right back.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you were looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Oh, sorry, I've got to go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches. Soda, that's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit. Fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruit with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the Spirit is unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea. With no added sugars, Fruit of the Spirit is a unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health here on this Monday version of our show. As I say, hope you had a wonderful weekend. We're going to kick off a great week for you. Always bringing you information that makes you the better consumer, that makes you a better person to watch and guard your health and the health of your loved ones. That's been our mission here for quite some time. I know I enjoy bringing you these messages, and I hope you enjoy receiving them. We certainly just love hearing from you on how you enjoy the show. The number to get in on the show today, if you want to come in and ask a question anytime or make a comment, that number is always, of course, 412-825-6262. Recently, in a number of settings, I just was pondering this issue and said, geez, it's come up, this subject of diabetes has come up a lot in the last week or two, and I just caught myself for a moment, and each and every time it was introduced, and it was always in a circle of either family or friends or the like, and it started to weigh on my mind, and I sat down and the other evening and jotted a couple of things down, and lo and behold, emerged a different look at this subject of diabetes, one that I hope you enjoy, because as to whether you're diabetic or not, many of you that are diabetics have already had that pronouncement made. There are many, of course, who should have the pronouncement made, and because they don't go to their family doctors, they actually don't know, and they're really in jeopardy because they're down that road. And we'll talk about that, how far down the road you are, but what about those who are just literally at the beginning of the road and have no idea, that because of age or maybe because they're seemingly feeling so well that they don't even have a clue about the potential for them being diabetic. And I thought it was appropriate to bring maybe some information that could allow you to start to envision the possibility and the potential that you may have for developing diabetes. So I said, well, are you a diabetic? Many of you know if you are, you aren't, but what about the question of, will you become one? And that's what we'll be discussing today. A couple of other reasons why this has really weighed in on my mind is that I recalled in those conversations with the family and the friends that I revealed a new term. I think I coined it, and I call it the amazing number of, here we go, new term, quotation marks, stealth diabetics, that I'm uncovering in my office practice each and every day. And so we have to get into this issue of stealth diabetes because I find it to be far outweighing and outnumbering the number of stated and known diabetics by about 10 to 1. Now that's what I see in my practice, and so I'm able to tell folks, look, if we were using this criteria, you're already a diabetic. And you don't even know it. You have no clue. So I call you a stealth diabetic, and we got to change some things real fast, or you're going to come out of the stealth closet. You're going to be well known and labeled and have to carry the burden that diabetics carry. So the issue of stealth diabetes is one of the things that came up in the conversation with friends and family. There's another thing that came up, and when this one finally, a fact of a piece of information I've known for quite a while. I've revealed it here in the show a number of times, but within the context of the discussions I was having, I think it's very tragic that this is the first point in the entire history of the world where it has been said, and I've heard it many times, and I think maybe you have too, that this is the first generation we're up against such heavy medical burden with respect to diabetes. This is the real reason for the statement that it's more than likely that our children will not attain the age of longevity that we ourselves are attaining. It's the first time that I'm hearing these rumblings and seeing the evidence of the fact that our kids will confront diabetes in a way that our generation never did, and because of it, the terms that have been thrown around and the phrases made by plenty of people in the public domain is that they won't live as long. Our children will not live as long as we have, and that's a shame. But there's a way to get this turned around. And so, with that in mind, we're going to talk today about how about this? With diabetes out there, are you going to become a diabetic? And what are the hints? What are the clues that lay out there that might very well be the tip-off for you? And then, before the show is up, I'm going to actually show you how to, a new way of looking at this, come out of the closet. If you're stealth diabetic and some of these symptoms and signs and personal health issues will tip you off. If any of these are items that you are making your own little list in your own mind and saying, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I got that one. Yeah, I got that one. You may be in the closet, in another way that term's used, and you may be a stealth diabetic. And we'll figure out how it is that you can learn about this and come out of the closet before the show's up. So here we go. Got any of these symptoms, got any of these things going on? Not one of them in an isolated way, but numbers of them. And then when you start to put 2 and 3 and 4 of these together, I want you to begin to think about the possibility of being a stealth diabetic and doing the proper testing to reveal that. We're going to talk about what I believe the most erroneous way of trying to make the diagnosis of diabetes. And it's the way that the medical profession, once again, is screwing up because they're using a fasting blood sugar to make that call. And I'm going to tell you that you cannot make that call, at least with respect to the stealth diabetics, and be accurate in any way. So the fasting blood sugar that everybody seems to turn to, saying, well, my fasting blood sugar is fine, and my doctor says it's fine, is probably the worst statement that you can make to try to make this an issue that you don't have to have in the forefront of your mind. So, let's talk about symptoms. Because these you don't have to have a blood test to know about, but these are the parts about you and your health situation that will tend to lead you to a conclusion that you just very well might be a self-diabetic. Here you go. Abscesses, or how about this just in general? Frequent infections of any type that lead to abscesses. And I'm talking about, was with a relative just last night. And this gentleman is already diagnosed as diabetic, but he keeps telling me that he has, looking at his nails, he has infectious and abscesses, infectious points all around a number of nails of the hand. And that certainly qualifies as an abscess, and it does need to be treated, especially in a diabetic. But do you have any infections, any repeated infections, even around nail beds and especially toenail beds? That's a factor that you'll have to check off in terms of potentially being a self-diabetic. How about skin rashes? Frequent rashes, folks, especially rashes that have a infectious or bacterial source. This would be a tip-off that there's something else going on, especially if they're frequent. I'm talking about the isolated abscess around nails or the isolated species of skin rashes or skin infections, which I'll put in the number 3 spot of any type. How about this one? I think it's really common. I think it's so common that we almost neglect to hook it up with a frequent infection, but that would be athlete's foot or onychomycosis. These two kinds of infections are called, in the medical parlance, they're called opportunistic. You don't get athlete's foot or onychomycosis, an infection of the nail itself, with a fungal infection. You don't get these infections if all is well. In fact, if you have athlete's feet or something called tinea cruis, which would be the famous thing, the common term is jock itch, which would be an fungal infection in the inguinal areas. So tinea pedis between the toes, tinea cruis in the groin, and nail infections, usually of the feet. These only occur when something is awry and something is amiss. If you have any of those terms, those 3 things going on, you may very well be a stealth diabetic. We're going to lead up to a crescendo where you're going to be able to know and find out whether or not you will become that diabetic, which is the whole reason for our discussion right now. Moving right along. How about poor skin healing? I think the relative that I was speaking about, that we were together just last night, mentioned how long it takes for these little infections, these abscesses around the nails, to heal. And so there's another tip-off that things are amiss, things are awry, and you may be, in our own way of saying, in the closet, if you know what I mean, and be a stealth diabetic. Another kind of infections. Look at the list of infections that occupy so many different stealth characteristics, all involving infections. Another infection, UTI. Do you get frequent UTIs? Another form of infection, another infectious source, and another tip-off. How about this kind of infection? Candida, which might be difficult to determine. Well, what about this? Stick out that tongue, walk up to the mirror, stick out the tongue, and take a look and see if there's a white, pasty, creamy, cheesy characteristic to the surface of the tongue. That is not just the fact that you were eating paste or glue. That's thrush. And that is absolutely an infection. It may be the only sign or symptom that something isn't right. You don't feel bad at all. You feel healthy. but another opportunistic infection. That word opportunistic. You don't get thrush or frequent UTIs or athlete's foot or onychomycosis unless there is an issue with your immune system, and that is so often the case in the diabetics, and you very well may be in the closet. Okay, what about this? Sort of moving away from infections, but nonetheless, a stealth diabetes marker would be dry and itchy skin. Combine that with flaky skin. Combine that when you scratch these dry and itchy areas, that you are frequently ulcerating or wound-provoking because you're scratching and itching so much. You may get skin boils, which is a bacterial infection. Here we are back to infections again. And so I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of the initial stealth symptoms are in the infectious categories. We're going to be moving away from the infectious category into a new category, but how many could you check from that list? And it would be a great way to at least tip you off that something else may be going on. We're going to switch categories. We're going to be talking about neurological issues in a moment. We're going to take a short break. When we return, continue with more of, will you be becoming a diabetic? Are you in the closet, so to speak? Are you a stealth diabetic? There's a way to find out. We move on when we return. We'll be right back with you.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in a formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Through the Spirit. The blessings of Through the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith, but Through the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Through the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Through the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you were looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to AM Impact on Your Health here on this Monday version of the show. We're having a good time today talking about whether you're in the closet or not. Of course, we say that tongue-in-cheek because it's not that closet in particular. It's another closet, a closet which, by the way, has a lot more harm to come to you than the first closet you were thinking about. Because I'm saying that there's a category of stealth diabetics out there, a very dangerous category to be in. And I'm trying to give you some basis by which to develop an awareness that it could be you in the closet. You could be the stealth diabetic, the person who's frankly going to be expressing their diabetes right around the corner. The first group of the symptoms that befall stealth diabetics, are all in the infectious category. There's something terribly wrong with the immune system. And as we move into the next category of symptoms, I'd have to say that this does mean that the disease is progressing and that it won't be long before you'll be coming out of the closet, because these ones will be ones that will just catch you a little off guard. They're in the neurological category, moving away from immunological and moving into the neurological. What are some of those symptoms? Well, here they come. How about, well, the ultimate term? It's a medical term. I don't think you can just apply it to yourself. The medical term is peripheral neuropathy. But paresthesias, numbness and tingling of the extremities, is, I think, the next threshold. Because at this point, what we're looking at are the cardiovascular implications of diabetes, to the point that there's so much diminishing of blood flow to the extremities due to the cardiovascular consequences of diabetes that are stealth in nature, that occur while you're in that closet, that allow plaque to be deposited in the highest quantity. There's no other disease entity that I'm aware of that allows the cardiovascular milieu to proceed in such a rapid fashion and devastating fashion than diabetes. When somebody comes in and the big B, as we call it, comes up onto the table, I know that I need to be searching the cardiovascular side of the equation. And these symptoms, although they're neurological, have to do with a diminished blood supply to the extremities, the distal extremities, whether they be in the hands or in the feet. So symptoms that you could recognize, such as these paresthesias, this foot tingling, foot numbness, hand tingling, hand numbness. Neurologically, yes, they could be put in that category, but they're absolutely due to a cardiovascular situation that's going out of control. And the tip-off is that the small blood vessels are being clogged up, that the neural tissue in the distal extremities are not receiving enough blood supply to function adequately, and pretty soon there'll be a peripheral neuropathy situation that could literally be what brings you out of the closet. And so that next category of issues is completely neurological. Sexual problems, erectile dysfunction, erectile failure, unusual vaginal dryness, premature menopause, absent periods, believe it or not, are all early signs. Well, they're actually later signs while you're still in the closet. There's something going on, and these usually will bring you out of the closet and maybe lead to that finally timely, maybe better said, untimely diagnosis, because so much time has gone by while you were in there and you didn't know you had diabetes. And by the time these symptoms start to pile up, age has moved on, usually. Other problems have developed, and these usually lead you to the doctor visit that will allow this diagnosis to finally be nailed down. For healing, I think we discussed it. Drowsiness, malaise, these are down the road, way down the road, in terms of if you're still in the closet, you haven't come out by this time, it'd be tragic, because I think it would be pointing to diabetes that is way, way out of control. Anyway, those kinds of symptoms, and as to whether you have them or not, are things that tip you off. They're hints that things are not okay. Any one of those symptoms by itself doesn't necessarily mean a thing, but when you start accumulating and collating and gathering up 2, 3, and 4 of them, then you at least have got to think about the possibility of being that stealth diabetic, and as to whether or not you're going to become one, boy, at that point, there's a way to find out. We're going to be talking about that in a moment. What about if you progress? What about if you continue? What are the next set of symptoms? that will lead to, for sure, won't be able to be ignored. But this time, there is definitely laboratory evidence that you are diabetic. The fact that you don't know it yet is just, unfortunately, you'll be the last to know. But they are, well, I can remember in Mexico, in medical school, my instructor saying that the four, called them the 4 T's, and the fact that he was talking to me in Spanish doesn't really matter, because the first 3 of these 4 are the same words in Spanish as they are in English. They are polydipsia, polyuria, and polyphagia. Polydipsia means an increased thirst. Polyuria, increased frequency of urination. The third, polyphagia, increase in appetite. Once you've arrived at this step, there is hematological evidence. There's blood evidence that you are a diabetic, even though you may still not know about it. The final of the big 4 symptoms, well, there is a little difference in this one in English or in Spanish. In Spanish, it's pérdida de peso. What that means is weight loss. With these 4, not weight gain, weight loss. With diabetes has moved down the road so far that you may have had your period of obesity, which is certainly one of the earliest signs of the type 2 diabetic. But if these are unmonitored and unchecked, and the fact that you may not know about that you're diabetic, by the time you've reached the increased thirst, the increased frequency of urination, the increased appetite, along with the loss of weight, you are way, way down the road. And that, my friends, should be, well, if you have those symptoms. And can still remain in the closet, shame on you. Now, we're going to take another short break. When we come back, I'm going to bring in the laboratory aspect of this. I'm going to share with you what I believe is another one of the real screw-ups of the medical profession, and the frailties, the foibles, and the misdiagnoses made by utilizing a fasting blood sugar. Be back in a moment. Be there.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Oh, sorry. I've got to go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches. Soda, that's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit. Fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruit with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the Spirit's unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea with no added sugar. Fruit of the Spirit's unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every one of those Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today, as I come back from our weekend, weighing on my mind, as I now have certainly expressed in a number of ways, something that I hope is now weighing on your mind as to whether or not, folks, are you a diabetic? Are you in the closet? Or will you become a diabetic? And I've given you the ways that you can maybe come to an appreciation of that potential and that possibility. We're going to move from the symptom area that allow you to be making these calls to the diagnostic and blood test area. And I'll share with you some things that over the many years I've learned to trust and not to trust with respect to making that diagnosis on patients that I happen to see. I will say, to round out this symptom issue, and especially for those who already are and know themselves to be diabetics, there's a tricky little situation that known diabetics can get into that I think that just spending a moment or two on would be worthwhile. A problem with the diabetic is if they're way out of control. And so this particular relative that I was talking to last night tells me, well, no, I'm a diabetic. And I go, well, look, how's your blood sugars run? And he goes, oh, geez, I don't know. And I thought to myself, oh, boy, what do you mean you don't know? I go, well, when you take your blood sugar, well, I don't really don't take them anymore. I go, well, do you have a glucometer? Do you have, oh, yeah, he says, I have a glucometer, and it's sitting right in there in the living room, and it's just been a long time since I've taken a blood sugar, so I really don't know what they are. That's the diabetic that really is scary, because they could easily move into this ketoacidosis situation, being out of control, not having any idea. They don't monitor their sugars. He tells me, look, I take an oral oral hypoglycemic every day, and that's all I do. But you still have to monitor those blood sugars if you're diabetic. Don't get out of the practice of not doing so. To know where you stand with respect to regions of safety and regions of not. But if you develop symptoms, you're a known diabetic, and you develop things like nausea, vomiting, sweet-smelling, fruity, acetone breath, difficulty breathing, there would be rapid breathing, and rapid pulse, and especially in kids, abdominal pain. This is an area that is extremely dangerous. It could hallmark the signs of what's called diabetic ketoacidosis, and this is truly a medical emergency. Rare as it is, I would be fearful of someone who, like the relative of last evening, never checks their blood sugar at all, and just because they take their medication that the doctor placed them on, they could be very far stream of safe levels of blood sugar that could easily be known. So just a word of caution out there, folks. Now, so how does one go from in the closet to come out of the closet? If you're in that closet, how could you know while you're still in there that you really do have diabetic concerns? You may have already made the switch to overt diabetic and not know it. Well, this comes and brings me to a discussion of what I think is a faux pas and a problem in the medical community. The standard blood test that is done by the medical community is a fasting blood sugar. And I've seen thousands of these fasting blood sugars by now in my career. And I think it's safe to say that levels of 100 or less, between 60 and 100 really, are to be considered normal levels. As you creep above 100, I think the entire non-medical community, the general population knows as you start moving north of 100, 105, 106, 110, then you're really beyond the gray area, and your doctor will tell you didn't come up with that blood sugar just on your own. Somebody usually got the fasting blood sugar and is now tipping you off that we've got an issue with diabetes. As you move north of 110, the level of your diabetes is commensurate with how high that blood sugar actually is. I'm not too concerned with doctors missing the diagnosis of diabetes with blood sugars, fasting blood sugars, north of 100. I think it's just too smart to be able to have that happen. I'm concerned with those who have and are lulled to sleep into thinking that all is well because their fasting blood sugar is a well and a good one. And this is where I believe the medical profession is letting itself down, letting you down. Because, let's just come up with a common example, a typical example that I find in the office here. We do blood work on patients. We ask them not to eat before coming here. We are interested in their fasting blood sugar, and lo and behold, when we get them, they have tremendously good and safe fasting blood sugars. I find them even into the 60s, the 70s, which if you were a doctor and you only looked at the fasting blood sugar, you'd say, oh, this is just perfect. This is great. You're fine. You don't have to worry about a thing. What they don't order, and they only order these on a known diabetic, is, I believe, how you get to know if you're in the closet or not, and whether it's time to come out of that closet. Because there's another blood test. Many of you have heard of it before. Unfortunately, it is not ordered until you move from the category of a not a known diabetic to a known diabetic. After your diabetes has been diagnosed by a fasting blood sugar that clearly is north of 100, you're in a different category. Your doctor then feels comfortable about getting what's called a hemoglobin A1C. This is a unique little blood test that hasn't been around all that long. I think we in the medical profession actually did need that blood test because diabetics became very good at manipulating their doctors because once it was known that a fasting blood sugar would give them away and cause their doctors to have a discussion with them that they weren't comfortable with, meaning because they knew that their blood sugar was too high, they became very ingenious, they being a diabetic, and literally in between times when they see their doctor, completely have no controls whatsoever, but about 2 or 3 days before they were going to visit their doctor for the next time, they cleaned up their act. They came into that office, they got their fasting blood sugar taken, and it was exemplary. The doctor patted them on the back. They left, a little smile on their faces. The doctor thinking, oh, this patient is really taking care of themselves, only to go back to their usual bad habits in the ensuing period of time until they needed to see their doctor again. We, in the medical profession, were getting hoodwinked by these very intelligent and very manipulative diabetic patients. That's why the hemoglobin A1C, I think, needed to be derived, needed to be invented, and since it has completely changed our ability to know how a diabetic is functioning all the time, not just on the morning of the blood test, which is nothing more than an indicator of your blood glucose level as a snapshot in a moment in time. At that precise moment on that day, that was what your blood sugar was. What it may be on the ensuing days, there's no way of telling, except now there is. And that's called a hemoglobin A1C. And if we're going to call a fasting blood sugar a snapshot in a moment in time, we should look at the hemoglobin A1C as a 90-day home DVD of your blood sugar, because that's really what the hemoglobin A1C is able to do. It's able to give us a 90-day, over 3 months, how do your blood sugars run? And in so knowing that, you're able to tell whether or not a diabetic has good control. At least that's what it appears that my colleagues are doing with this blood test. It's only ordered after the diagnosis of diabetes is made, and then it's used to monitor the diabetic from that point forward. I say, you who may be in the closet, you who have all these infectious, neurological, and vascular issues that are going unnoticed, you are the folks that deserve to have the hemoglobin A1C requested by you if your doctor isn't requesting it, and I don't think he or she is, if you're not a known diabetic already. Why do I say this? Because I get a hemoglobin A1C on every single patient. Besides getting their fasting blood sugar, I get their hemoglobin A1C. I get both, whether it's a known diabetic or not. And what has happened over the course of time, and my patients will be the first to tell you about it, is that hemoglobin A1C is very predictive of, well, it would be predictive of whether you're a diabetic parent or not, but it's very predictive of how those blood sugars are running. What I'm finding is now what I have labeled the stealth diabetic. And it goes something like this. I tell you, I've gotten fasting blood sugars on patients, many patients, frequently under 100. I've had some as low as in the 60s and 70s, which is considered excellent blood sugar control. Yet, when they get their hemoglobin A1C, we find them to be well over this line of, the normal level of hemoglobin A1C goes up to 5.7%. So it's a different measure entirely. It has to do with the percentage of sugar molecules that wind up on a red blood cell and attach to hemoglobin. That's why it's called the hemoglobin A1C. But 5.7% is the danger line. And if you cross it, that means over the course of 90 days, your blood sugar is rambling out of control most of the time. Now, the only way I can reconcile this, I don't usually find written in any literature, which is, I think it goes something like this, that in the early days of your diabetes, when you go to sleep at night and you've already had your last meal of the evening, whether it was just before you went to bed or even if it was at dinner time, the hours of sleep, that 6 or 8 hours, allows your homeostatic mechanisms to work so well that by the time you emerge from sleep in the morning and make it to the doctor's office and get your fasting blood sugar taken, the homeostatic mechanisms are able to bring your blood sugar to absolutely normal ranges. I'm saying as low as in the 60s, giving the false impression that all is not just well, it's extremely well. But I underline the word false, because when the hemoglobin A1C is at 5.8, 5.9, 6.2, in a person with a fasting blood sugar of 60 or 70, there's quite a bit of resolution that needs to be made for that difference, for that dichotomy. And the only explanation is you might be at a fasting level that's all very well first thing in the morning, but the moment you start eating any foods, and I don't know what foods that you are eating, but whatever that is, from the point of you starting your daily intake of nutrition all the way up to where you end, your blood sugar is off the wall. Allowing, however, for sleep, when you wake up the next morning in this period of you're in the closet, you'll come in and evidently this is so frequent that the diagnosis of diabetes is being missed when in fact it could be made if just that blood test is being requested. So I ask all of you out there, the next time you're going to your doctor, or if you come to see us, just consider it's going to be automatically done here. If you're going to your family doctor, I think you're going to have to request it. You want to request a special blood test. The fasting blood sugar is automatic. You don't have to request it comes in the off-the-rack blood test that your doctor is going to be ordering on you. But the test that will need to be ordered specifically, because it won't be ordered unless you're already a known diabetic, is this thing called hemoglobin A1C. And with that, you're going to be able to know whether you're in the closet or not. Then you'll be able to make some sense of all those symptoms we talked about in the pre-diabetic, in the time when the fasting blood sugar is all too normal, and no one, at least and especially your doctor, is even thinking that diabetes is an issue for you. But we've given you enough information today to do much more than that. You can have an inclination that you're in the closet by just going through that list of symptoms. Go ahead, come on back to our website, get this show today, play it frequently, listen to it. It'll enable you to refresh yourself on thinking what those symptoms could and might be. Opportunistic infections displayed in so many different ways are probably that category. I mean, I see these infections creep up in 20 and 30-year-olds that have, normal fasting blood sugars, but yet I'm finding out that the hemoglobin A1Cs are really getting deranged even at that early age. But you find athlete's foot, onychomycosis, tinea cruis, which is that jock itch component, so frequently in adolescence and early adulthood, and not being recognized for the potential hallmark sign that it really is. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed our little discussion today. Are you a diabetic? Well, you might be. You already have been diagnosed as such. But a better question, a question that you need to ask not just of yourself, but how about your children? These kids that are not going to get the breaks that we did, because the information out there says that maybe for the first time in the entire course of history, this generation may not make it. We're talking about our children's generation to the same level we did. Are you in the closet? Are you coming out? You now have the information to make that call. Hey, I'll see you on Wednesday. Don't forget, Cass will be with us, Dr. Cass Ingram. How to survive a toxic summer will be our discussion. You don't want to miss it. Until then, Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.
Sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in